Team, are we ready?
Yes.
Great. How about these guys? Ready? Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Welcome, everybody. Today is Wednesday, December 6th, 2023. We are here for the Orange Township Trustees regular meeting. Ms. Kraft, can you please call the roll?
Sure. Mrs. Faust?
Here.
Ms. Knapp?
Here.
Mr. Ringel?
Here.
Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Do we have any public comment?
Sure.
Great.
Yeah.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Bill Weeble, 1505 Plumway Lane. I just had two little things. Number one, since I've missed the last meeting, I wanted to congratulate the township on passing the fire levy addendum. And the feedback I've gotten from several of the business leaders, number one is it's going to keep the insurance level down where it needed to be. And because it now reflects the occupied dwellings and the businesses that are complete in the township for the first time in a while. Because we were kind of operating in a behind or rearage type situation for a long time. And that speaks highly of the fire department that we passed that levy. So on behalf of the township, thank you and good job, man. We appreciate everything at the fire department. Secondly, just a quick question. Oh, for you guys, congratulations on you guys getting your slate reelected and stuff. And
Thank you.
I was happy to vote for that. So, don't tell anybody that. I'm always happy to share that. Secondly, I did have a quick question about when you guys do agendas. I know this one you've got an executive session at the end, but you've lumped an executive session in the early part of it also. Is it possible, especially because there were a couple of them that you had maybe two items in an executive session and I was balancing two things, so I didn't come. Is it possible to move and think about that in the next time we put agendas together and putting executive session at the end, instead of this time you have like two different executive sessions where I think you wouldn't be it wouldn't be an illegal issue to have that executive session at the same time.
Yeah, I can speak on that. I mean, I think typically we try to do the executive sessions at the end,
Right.
Just because it is a private deliberation, and you know, it's not in your best interest to wait around while we're in an executive session. The reason why we have this one, the way it's structured today, and how we have had to do it in the past, is just the schedules of our legal counsel.
Okay.
And when our lawyers are here, they are on the clock, so we're
Right.
paying for them. So oftentimes, if we have it at the beginning, it's because let's do the exec, and then they can go out and we can stop the clock.
And we've amazingly cut down on that expenditure.
We have.
Which was always an issue in the past. It's done a great job. That's it. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill. And actually, both of our execs are going to be towards the beginning today because of, again,
Schedules.
yeah, schedules.
Yeah, I think we usually put them at the end unless they involve it.
That's the ideal, yeah.
Okay. Speaking of that, we are going to move to executive session and make a motion to approve Resolution 23-295, enter into an executive session. Motion to adjourn into executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22G8, for the purpose of considering confidential information related to the marketing plan's specific business strategy, production techniques, trade secrets, or personal financial statements of an applicant for economic development assistance that is directly related to a request for economic development assistance that is to be provided or administered under Revised Code 715, 5709.73 through 5709.75, and or Revised Code 715. The executive session is necessary to protect the interests of the applicant or the possible investment or expenditure of public funds to be made in connection with the proposed economic development project.
Second?
Mr. Ringel?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes, invited to attend are the trustees, fiscal officer, our administrator, and the Orange Township Legal Counsel. We'll be back. I make a motion to approve Resolution 23-296, return to regular session.
Second.
That was Mike.
Mr. Ringel?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes. Okay, now we've got Trey Bell.
Hi,
Hi.
thanks for having me back.
Thanks for coming.
Of course. So wanted to revisit the discussion regarding your natural gas program that's in place. I've been communicating both with Michelle and Valerie about some pricing options over the past couple of weeks. As the group had requested, we reached out to several suppliers. Archer is still the strongest option, and that's who you're currently with right now. Over the past 3 weeks, the market has continued to go down, so that's good with these warmer than expected kind of mild winter temps that we haven't got into, a ton of that cold weather yet. So that's been of benefit. Have done weekly pricing from the 15th of November, so 679, 665, 658, and today we're at 6579. We're looking at a rate that would take effect immediately for the blend and extend option we had spoken about last time around. That is a 12% savings against your current rate, which is still a very attractive rate. So that's, nothing to sneeze at there. That would be able to take effect in January. And I know we had talked about some language regarding, your agreement currently says you can secure a fixed rate at any point in time, which is completely accurate. I think that language is put in place from your existing contract that was initially started out as a variable price. So at one point in time, you converted from variable to fixed. So that language is exercised then. And then at any point in time, you're welcome to secure a fixed price. Now, that doesn't mean that it can take effect today. And that is due to various regulations. The PUCO requires a 10-day filing window plus 21 days to opt out of whatever the new rate is. Even if it's lower than the current rate, even if it's savings, they still say you have to allow that opt-out period. So that's 31 days, from today. And Archer, they can move as quickly as they can, but, at the end of the day here, you're really looking at an extra day for tomorrow. Because they are the incumbent, they would not have to also include an enrollment window, and that varies depending on natural gas or electricity, but that could also add 5 to 12 days onto the process. So I hope that gives some more clarity as to why it cannot start effective today, but quickest we could do is January, and those savings would go into effect immediately for those residents who are currently participating in the program.
If we did the blend and extend.
Yes,
Right,
correct.
okay.
If you did the blend extend, absolutely. Now, if you did not want to do that option, we talked about just the regular extension, but that price would not take effect until the end of your current agreement, which would be May. Yep, exactly.
So we're able to set a fixed rate as long as both parties agree?
Yes, that's correct. Yep.
So I guess our decision is, do we want to do just the extension, which currently you're offering the 0.6095?
That's correct.
Right, compared to our current of 0.749, or we can do the blend and extend, which would start now, 0.6587.
That's correct. Yeah, so that blend period there, so starting in January and carrying through May, that would give residents on average $45 to $55 in savings, more than they would have if we kept with the current rate through May. And that's a total over that blend period.
Do you know what we do, the blend and extend, is it a cost, would it be a cost savings from the entirety of the contract from May of 25? Or is it just a cost savings initially until May of, I guess, I don't know if you know the calculations on that. I mean, is this just a short-term savings if we do the blend and extend, or is it an overall savings if we
Yeah. So it is overall slight savings compared to if we were to wait and then do the extension in May.
Okay.
And the reason for that is there's more gas that's used in the winter months here. So now we're capturing that extra winter period.
So we get 2 winters and a spring and a summer, basically, instead of just the one if we just do the extend.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
Excuse me.
so there's no, you were saying, so we could do, there's nothing that just can extend us through till May.
No, that could just lower that for that 4 or 5 month period. No.
If we didn't do anything today, we would keep this 749?
749, that's
Okay,
exactly
the 749 until we choose to extend from May 2024 and on.
Yep, that's
Okay.
exactly right. I also did look at some pricing options that went beyond the May of 2025 period, and those were all higher. They're still attractive rates, but they were higher options than just going through May of 2025. So if that is something of interest, I think I had shared that, with both yourself and Valerie. That's certainly an option, but, with the consideration that if you go through May 2025, then we can revisit everything at one time for both electric and natural gas.
Do you have, say, an average of from January through May of what that average CCF per month that a typical user would
For a
have?
typical household? Yeah, so that's going to be around 200 CCF.
Okay.
Each per month.
Per month. Okay.
Yeah.
So you would times that by 200, the 6579 per year. Is that?
Like 0.12 or the difference.
Yeah, the average monthly
maybe-
usage is 100 CCF, but that just takes total divided by 12. It doesn't account for seasonality.
Right.
So if you're talking about, those winter months, it's going to be more like a 200 mark.
Okay. So all of these rates, the blended extend, so if we did the blended and extend, it would be at this rate for the entire term.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, through May of 2025. That's correct. Starting in January.
I think I'm inclined to probably just hold off.
And just do the
Yeah,
extend,
yeah.
just the extension. Because it is so, is that what you're saying?
But we don't, are we doing an extension?
Well, if
It's
we-
not up until May. is it?
No, but if we do the extension route, is the 6095 for the extension still applicable today, or has that changed since?
No, that's applicable today. That was as of this morning. So
Okay.
yep, that's applicable today.
So we could
Yep.
do the extension, and we would have to lock
it
that
now.
rate in today.
But where's the extension in here?
I think it's from my email I sent you.
Which one? But that would still be through the end of May of 2025, right?
That's right.
But we would have to, to
lock
get
it
that
today.
rate, we would lock it in today.
Yeah, but,
And if we don't do anything at this point,
Yeah,
it
we
still
would-
says the 749 until we,
so we could, but we'll be renegotiating like February, right? When does the current one expire?
well, I
Is it
think if we
May?
do the fixed rate, I can't remember what our contract says. If there's a lower rate that occurs, if we lock in something now and a lower rate shows up, is that an opportunity we can revisit?
Sure, and that's what we're doing right now, talking about a blend and extend. Absolutely. So if
I'm talking about just the straight, if we decided to go with the extent and lock it in today at 6095, would there be an opportunity to see a lower rate prior to the May of 24, or is that something we're just committing to?
I think my recollection was that we had locked in a fixed rate, and that's what we have currently, and that we only had one opportunity to lock in the fixed
Okay.
rate.
That's
Why we're
right.
talking the blend and extend options, is because we need to lock in something beyond our current contract term if we want to do that.
So we can't lock today in December and lock again in February.
Yeah.
That's
And
correct.
realistically, let's be clear, February's prices will probably be higher
Yes, likely to be
unless for
so.
some reason
Yes.
it's warm all of winter.
Wait,
Yeah, we're
February would be higher than now.
Than now.
Yeah, we're currently at
She's thinking where this
three-year
will-
historic lows because of this
our winter
warm,
is so
extended weather that we've had, this unseasonable weather. So we've really seen the market come off over the past, month and a half. So, it's unlikely that this is going to hold all the way through February.
Right.
Think
about like last Christmas Eve, like there was a giant breeze and snowstorm.
Yeah, but usually, like, if usually around, like, for example, I always try to lock in my electric, maybe starting in August, because the whole summer's passed and the rates are going down. The same thing with the spring.
But we can't, when would
just
we
have
have
to
to make a
wait.
decision for, because right now our contract ends the end of May?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we would be
still have
making this
time.
decision
In February.
We could do it that early?
Yeah. Yeah, towards end of February would be really when you
Yeah,
have to
I
lock
mean,
it in for.
Because the filing,
I mean, except for, it could be the seasonal stuff, but
it's a risk. I don't know.
Yeah, it usually does. I mean, never say never, barring any more like invasions or something. I mean, there's a lot of variables, but I always start looking around whenever that season has ended, because that's usually when the rates are going down. And then like gas is really low during the summer, you know.
Right, yeah, gas is low in the summer.
Yeah, and
so
electric
that's-
is-
but
yeah.
We would be accepting a gas rate in February. We wait till that.
Yeah, but that's towards the end of the season. I mean, February is the coldest month, and then March is.
But but that's when we would have to accept the rate in the coldest month of the year.
Oh, yeah, but that's when they start to go down.
I would disagree with that. You start to see rates go down, you know, when it starts to become warmer outside, so that could be into March and April. I don't think transacting in February is going to offer the best rate.
But what, is it the end of May or is it the beginning of May?
So you're May 1.
May 1st.
Yeah, and because of the filing, the 21 days, 10 days, you know, we need to do it at least.
Well, it'd be
say
March. Wouldn't it be mid-March?
March 1st.
Beginning of March, yeah, and that's still, you know, pretty cold. My opinion is that this is likely the best opportunity that's going to be had until you're absolutely up against the gun, and then, you know, you're going to be into this carryover period where you're going to be out of your fixed term. So I would suggest, I mean, we're at 3-year lows today. We've seen a decline over the past month and a half, which is very atypical for this time of year. So my suggestion would be to transact today versus, you know, the risk of waiting until February.
But aren't they at historical highs? Aren't they pretty high right now compared to the last few years?
No, we're at 3-year lows as of today.
Yeah, but before that, but it was $1. What was it, $1.02 or something
I don't
a
know.
year ago? I think it was
Just trying to look at what we
crazy.
have in front of us today.
Yeah.
We have 749, and then this is either 6579.
But then that commits us to a year and a half, right?
Which is still lower than what we're at right now.
Yes.
It is.
So
but
12% lower.
We don't know if,
The other risk you run of waiting is that you're forced to take a price. And I know that there has been some concern about feeling, no, I'm stuck and I have to transact and do something. So if we wait until the last minute, I mean, you have to take whatever price is available then. And that's something I wouldn't feel comfortable making that decision in that point in time, and, you know, wouldn't want to put the board in that position either.
You know, my feeling is that I think we're trying to decide on whether or not we think we might get a better price now or later. And I think we know for a fact that we're going to get a better price now if we lock it in.
Right.
We don't know that if we wait until February, and then we will be forced to take whatever February brings. And it seems like, I'm not a natural gas expert, but it seems like the rates might not be beneficial in February. But it's possible. But again, that's, I think, a risk that I don't know that we need to take.
like, I mean, residents right now can get onto a 0.519 rate for 12 months fixed with no early termination fee.
Sure, and if residents would like to do that on an individual basis, there's absolutely nothing to stop them from doing that. When we're looking at an aggregation that covers an entire township, that's a lot different than just a, you know, one-off resident price. Also within those, I know Apples to Apples has a lot of different options. Some of them are variable, so there's an intro rate for a little bit of time. Some of them are
These are
shorter
fixed.
term, and
These
then
are
they
fixed.
go up to a variable with a very high adder afterwards. So if a resident isn't paying attention,
these are fixed.
then they're on
There's-
a holdover price after
Yeah,
that.
these are, I know what I'm doing with this. These are all fixed. There's one, for example, you can get for 24 months, 0.548 fixed, and no early termination fee. It's not variable, and there's no per month charge either. So, I mean, residents, I just don't find this rate to be very competitive. Like I said, I don't have a crystal ball. When do we have to decide this by?
I mean, we had numbers last time. We did our research, and it came in a little lower. We are not forced to do anything today, if that's your question. But it is the recommendation to lock something in because it is an oddly warm time of the year. The gas is not as used at much right now.
But then we can't renegotiate, correct?
We can always look at another blend and extend. That's always an
Okay, so the
option
blend and
to
extend
do.
we can do,
Absolutely, at any
Okay.
time.
but
What
the
you were-
fixed rate one is a one-time shot.
It was one-time shot because you were on a variable price. So you're able to secure a fixed rate to get you off of that month-to-month variable.
So the resolution we have in front of you is the blend and extend?
That's
Okay. So that is something we can lock in now, and then if there's a better opportunity, we can revisit that.
Could we lock in for a fix now and then blend and extend in a couple months if that was better?
Yeah, if there's a better opportunity, yeah, absolutely. There's no limitation on being able to do a blend and extend. If there's a market opportunity, we can offset what the price is now and carry it out a little bit further. Certainly, we can do that.
The fixed rate won't start till May, though.
Right.
And if we were to do the blend and extends before us now, I think that would line up our electric aggregation with our gas electric aggregation. So if we were considering doing a blend and extend at some point in the future, having accepted something now, I think that would put our electric and gas out of sync again, or.
Would that?
It could.
It could, yes.
And just for my clarification, the blend and extend, because we are on a fixed rate and we would be staying on a fixed rate, the only way to go to a lower fixed rate would be to have an extension as well.
That's right, yes.
Yeah,
So it's a slightly different
mid-cycle.
situation from what
Yeah, and they would have
have
to
previously dealt with,
agree
having
to
been
it.
variable and then going to fixed. So. But personally, I like the blend and extend option we have before us, just because we know we have savings in front of us right now. And
That we hit in January for our residents.
Right, I'd rather not take the risk for our residents and,
It could be a terribly cold winter and then they're at that 0.749 for
right.
a couple more months.
And I think it also serves a dual purpose of lining up our aggregation programs.
And families can always choose to pull
They
out.
can opt out of the
and
program as
get,
well and
you know, the
lock in their own rate.
And that's.
Oh, yeah, but a lot of people don't know how to do that. I've just had so many complaints over the years where we've had a really good run recently, but, yeah, they got a really good deal, but then sometimes it's really very high and then people don't even realize it until later, like they could have gotten a better deal, you know? I don't know.
I'm fine with the blend and extend as well.
And that is which rate?
It's a
The,
6579,
Starting
starting in January.
January. So we
This
get,
resolution was approved by our council? Okay, because I noticed the words, and I'm sorry, I had to be MIA today, but I noticed, I don't see the words blend and extend. I didn't know if that was a concern.
No, I don't think that was incorporated. It just had adjusted the start date to be January. So it's the effective price for January versus
So the blend and extend is just kind of your,
just
what you need to
lingo.
know, and
Yeah.
lingo, and then this is just the rate we're agreeing to, but Cabell calls it blend and extend.
Might need to drop in a date in January. I'm seeing in the resolution, it says January of 2024.
on page 3, second whereas.
And in the paragraph A as well, this beginning January 2024 and ending May 31, 2025.
Do you know if it's January 1st, 15th?
Yeah, so it depends on what the customer's meter read cycle is. So, and that could be, you know, your meter is read on January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, all throughout the entirety of the week. That's, so it captures all of January. We're not waiting until the end and then most are missed.
May.
Just wanted to make sure it didn't need to say January 1, and we didn't have January 1 and through May 31st, 2025.
And that's also set at the end of the month for the same thing, so that it includes all of the May meter reads and nobody's getting cut off, you know,
But the
before
current one-
having that full term.
May 1st? Is the current contract May 1st?
I believe it's the end of May.
Is it May 31st? Yeah, so wouldn't we be negotiating then in,
We would have to wrap something up like very early, end of February, early March at the latest.
so 3 months in advance?
Yeah.
It's the end of May, May 31st. So that means actually we'd be negotiating April when temperatures are warmer.
Well, I'm just thinking how we would start the conversations end of February, early March, just, I mean, typically these take a couple meetings, so.
Yeah, I feel like now that we know what we're doing, it could take as little as
But I would
6
say,
weeks.
yeah, I mean, March is still winter, unfortunately.
Yeah, but, I mean, I think, so that's a whole month off from what we were thinking.
I'm sorry, a whole month off.
Oh, originally that someone said it was May 1st.
Yeah, from the perspective of looking at rates, and it might be potentially warmer, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm
the
saying,
thought.
because spring, I mean, it always gets a lot warmer. February's very cold, March warms up substantially, and then, or this would be early April, and that's, trees start to have leaves on at the end of April.
I still think you have that element of risk of not knowing what the future
Yeah.
will hold.
But then you're
What it
working,
was last March 1st, the rates were
What the rates were for March 1st?
last year.
If you excuse me to grab my phone, yeah, I do have.
The nature is so hard to predict.
Tricky every year.
We haven't really started winter yet.
In the resolution here, it says 0.65.
things that
Yeah, I don't,
That was 2021.
Yeah, that was
Is when, okay, yeah, yeah. So looking at last March, I'm sorry, I'm looking at a graph on my phone here, but it looks like we were, if you're looking at a fixed rate, about 6.95-ish.
So that's much more than
Yeah.
everything that we have, either option now.
I think that's really the decision here is, we know that it is a very attractive time to transact. We know that we're in unseasonably warm weather. The cost of waiting is, yes, maybe there's a better opportunity, but maybe there's much worse opportunity, and then you're stuck having to take a price at that point in time. So kind of, certain now you have savings against what is currently in place versus waiting and you're kind of backed against the wall. And like I said, I would not want to have to make a decision in that setting.
Gotcha.
So you can see your normal year sort of. I wish I had a historical graph, but I still feel like this is more.
Yeah. Part of it is just, let's just block.
We're just looking at the rates on the Columbia Gas website. Sure. On the graph.
So administratively, in page 3, number A, not to exceed 6.5, what's in the text here, 6.579, should that be 6.587? If we do the.
No, 6.579 is the price as of today. I think the 6.587 might have been from the first. It was from a couple days ago. So yeah, it went down a little bit.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Oh, that's better.
749? Yeah, those rates change. It's a variable rate, so it's going to change month over month. So as we get into the winter season, you tend to see that go up. Yes. Well, if you're on the utility, no, depends on your rate class.
And again, that's an option that all residents can feel free to exercise. This is just coming up with a collective rate to hopefully provide the best savings that we can as a collective. People can opt out of the program at any point in time, just like they can with the electric aggregation.
And do you know the percentage of the residents that even have Columbia? Like, I know I have suburban, and we can't aggregate at all. So that's what I was thinking. It wasn't a ginormous part of our community.
Yeah, I think it is like 10, 12%. Yeah.
Gotcha. So,
Yeah, I think, hold on just a sec. Yeah, because I just would think that there would be, I would think since the rates have gone down a little bit, that there would be something slightly better than than these rates, like, hold on, let me just check.
But you shopped it to multiple
That's right.
companies, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, this is what they give us, is what they give us. So if they, yeah.
Yeah, so that's reflective, as I'm saying, if you're pricing an entire community is different than just extending a single offer to individuals.
Right.
So if, Aaron, if the board approves this today, I call you the first week it's warm in March, we can discuss other options.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep, and we could do the same thing like we did this time around. If you want to, have a RFP go out to multiple suppliers, we could do that. If you want to look at different terms, we could do that. We could always look at, a shorter term. Like I said, this time around, we looked at longer terms, and the 2025 option is most attractive.
But then all parties would have to mutually agree on that, correct? Both parties, us, to do the blend and extend again.
Yeah, so if it was transacted upon today, Archer has agreed to that. That price is as of this morning, so we don't have to go back and say, hey, is it still good? Is it still good? But yes, obviously, the other side would have to agree to.
Yeah, because if you can lock in right now for 12 months at 0.4790 for a whole year with AEP Energy, who does provide gas also in addition to electricity. So I just find these rates to be kind of outrageous and very high. You'd think we'd get better rates than residents could get on their own. This is substantially lower, so I'm just really disappointed in that rate, especially since we're extending for a whole nother year. There's no reason that any resident can't get on here and be guaranteed for a whole year, starting, next month for a substantially lower rate of 47 cents. And what's the blend and extend again?
6579.
Yeah, that's
There is nothing precluding residents from going and finding a rate individually. And if someone has a rate in place now, they won't be included in the aggregation. So that will remain. If they've secured a rate, like I think it sounds like you have done for many years, that will stay in place. That will not get disrupted.
Yes, I know. I'm just thinking, and we have such a big market here, I would think we would be getting something better than the individual. You would think the power of aggregation would create a better rate for everybody versus a much higher, substantially higher rate.
Well, the other suppliers we priced this out with, they came back with higher rates. I'm also looking at pricing for many other townships, and this is right in line with what everybody is seeing. So this is not anything unique to Orange Township. It's just kind of an apples and oranges situation when you're looking at an offer that you can extend to a single resident versus making an assumption on a whole township. And maybe your participation rate is 0, or maybe it's 50%, or maybe it's 100%. There's a lot of risk that has to be built in there from a supplier, and to say, yeah, we'll still extend that price even if half of the participants say, yeah, we want to opt out, or you want to opt back in. So it really is a different type of pricing structure that's going to allow for that flexibility throughout the term versus, a single resident looking at a term by themselves.
Yeah, it's just like a 40% higher the rate you're offering versus what they can get. So that's disappointing.
Because there's too many hands involved going through an aggregation versus.
They get a cut of the profits, so.
We're experiencing that with drug prices. That's who we're trying to get that. Same thing, there's too many.
I think this is more of a situation of taking on a lot of risk for unknowns versus passing through many hands.
Okay, so I'm feeling that I'm comfortable with the blend and extend now because we can always revisit it again for a better rate, later on. So,
But we would have to then extend that contract for another probably year and a half.
right.
Right, so there's no.
It's a minimum of 12 months, right?
So we could do it in,
For the extension period, it could be any period that you'd want it to be. It's just going to then be reflective in the price.
okay.
Yeah, and then.
So yeah, there's nothing to say it has to be.
7 months, it would be.
But all parties will have to agree again. There's nothing, just like right now, they kind of have our feet to the fire. We can't change this because we're in a contract, so there's going to be no difference. It's not like we can just do it automatically. We have no power.
No, but I think that's part of what, we're coming here to present you with, is that you are locked into a fixed contract, but there's a better opportunity. So I wanted to make sure that the township was aware of that, instead of saying, hey, you're stuck for 5 months, there's nothing you can do. And I think that's part of our job, to make sure that we're watching the market and making sure that we're presenting those opportunities to you, and not, feeling like you have your feet stuck to the
But then
fire.
we'll be stuck for 18 months with the blend and extend, correct?
That would go through May of 2025. That's right. Yes.
Great, thanks.
Possible to end the gas aspect of that agreement?
I think we're in a contract through the end of 24 right now, through May of 24 right now.
This will be
So,
through May of '25.
yeah. Okay, so if I do the blend, if we do the blend and extend, is this the resolution that I read? Okay.
Yes.
All right. I make a motion to approve Resolution 23-297, approving a second amendment to the Master Services Agreement, MSA, with Archer Energy LLC to extend the MSA and establish fixed rate price for the township's natural gas aggregation program.
Second?
Mr. Ringel?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
No.
Ms. Spouse?
Yes.
And what is, I'm sorry for the eighth time, what's the, did we put the rate in there?
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
0.679.
6.
Yeah, which is cheaper than the 7 format we've got right now, so.
Yeah, but
Yeah. All right. I think I need to sign some things right after this, or does the board need to sign? Okay, so before we break into exec, we can grab signatures.
Okay. But with that is the next thing is we need to go to exec. Okay. I make a motion to approve Resolution 23-298, enter into executive session pursuant to revised code 121.22G4 to review negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment.
could we have to go into that right now. Oh, it's you.
I just have a legal waiting for that, so.
All right, second.
Mr. Ringel?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mrs. Spouse?
Yes. Invited to attend are trustees, fiscal officer, administrator, Orange Township Legal Counsel, Mr. Bowers, and Mr. Kremnitzer.
Yes.
All right, I make a motion to approve Resolution 23-299, return to regular session.
Second?
Mr. Ringel?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp? Mrs. Bouse?
Okay, did we have any general announcements?
I had one. We had the Delaware County Township Association winter meeting this past week, which was very well attended and very well organized. It was good to see a lot of our fellow township officials there. A lot of good discussions were happening, and one thing that I think we'll be looking at into 2024 is the local government funding distributions that the state provides to all the political subdivisions in the county, and working with our township partners to make sure that we're all being fairly compensated for the growth that we've seen across the county. Looking forward to lots of updates on that front.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, there's been a lot of kind of year-end meetings. We had the engineers meeting last week. We had the strategic plan that was put out from the county. That was Monday. Yesterday was Treasurer Ranke's thing. So there's been lots of opportunities to gather with other township and county officials in the last couple weeks here. So
The holiday festival was also a hit.
yes, that was super great.
We ran out of hot chocolate towards the end, which
No,
was
just
such
the beginning. It was excellent hot chocolate.
It was really good.
So yeah, thank you to all of our community that came out, all of our volunteers and staff that helped and did all the things. I think it was great. We tweaked the hours a little bit. We made it 2 hours this year instead of 3. Rain tampered things a little bit, but thanks to Mr. and Santa and Mrs. Claus for coming as well, and fire department for bringing them in and showing off the new trucks and well, all the trucks and the new Quint. So yeah, it was great.
Yes, it's a lot of hard work, so thank you.
Yes, yeah. Okay, anything else? Agenda changes?
I have two. Under the, well, actually, no, I have three.
That's three.
Hello. So under the consent agenda, we will be adding something for Fire Phoenix Safety Outfitters. That is the first round of Class 4 uniforms, or turnout gear. Am I saying that right? Okay, turnout gear. And then under administrative report, we have a new item to reschedule the regular scheduled meeting for December 20th for that consideration, and then also adding a resolution for a wage rate increase for non-union in 2024.
Okay.
And that'll be under administrative report.
All right, thank you. Do we have any questions on the consent agenda?
I have none.
Okay. I make a motion to approve Resolution 23-300, approving the electronic record of the proceedings from the regular trustee meeting and zoning hearing held on November 15th, 2023, and Resolution 23-301, approving purchase orders, then and now purchase orders, and blanket purchase orders as listed.
Second?
Mr. Ringel?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mrs. Bouse?
Yes. All right, our zoning report, Mr. Gadsky.
Yes. I'm filling in for Robin as he continues to be out. So my name's Eric Gaetsky, Senior Zoning Officer, and wanted to start with the Board of Zoning Appeals coming up on the 14th at 6 p.m. We will have 4 cases on the agenda. The first one would be a continuation from last month. This is VACU 2323, and this is at the new location for CME Federal Credit Union. At last month's hearing, 4 wall signs were approved, but there are 3 requests, 2 area variances and conditional use requests that are still being requested. And so the 2 requests, an area variance and conditional use, are for the monument sign, and the third is an area variance for the wall sign exceeding 15 feet in height. Moving on to the next agenda item is VA 2326. I believe you heard about this at the last trustee meeting, but the request entails a swimming pool that will encroach into the 35-foot rear yard setback. And moving on.
Was that one heard yet, or this is the first time that's being heard?
This will be a first time.
Okay.
As will the next one. It's a conditional use application, CU 2327. This will be at 3006 Abbey Knoll Drive. And this request entails a daycare in a residential home, and it's a requirement that they receive conditional use approval for that daycare. So that is the third one. And then the last is a variance application VA 2329, location 95 Orange Point Drive. It's a fairly visible corner lot right there off 23. The building is going up, and this is for Grismer Tire's future location, but they are requesting new signage, 2 wall signs that will exceed 15 feet in height. So that rounds out BZA. For Zoning Commission, it is not going to be a standard meeting, but rather a work session coming up on the 19th at 6:30 p.m. This request is a new storage unit development, which is involving buildings of single-story through 3-story, and the facility, a variety of building types and designs. Staff has not gone through and reviewed yet the application, but that will be coming soon, and of course before the meeting. And then the primary, I guess the work session will entail making sure that the plans are complete with information, basically fulfilling all of the requirements of the RCOD application. So a little bit different than a standard meeting. Just want to emphasize that as a work session. Public is still invited to come nonetheless.
Okay, I've got a couple questions about your last BZA meeting. I started to listen, but we had some technical difficulties, so I haven't listened to all of the hearings. That was the one with the school, so they were approved, right? Yes. The schools, okay. Yes. That was an increase for parking. And then the McDonald's one, what happened with that one?
Yes, we listed that on this upcoming agenda as withdrawn because that's exactly what happened. We just wanted folks to know that the application has been withdrawn, and the decision, it sounds like, is changing course to more of an administrative process for that, but we haven't gotten any more information.
Gotcha. So that one's...
So they are not withdrawing for having a McDonald's. They have decided to comply with the zoning.
With the signage and stuff.
And then to Eric's point, it would be administrative review.
Okay, and then the other one was the Chick-fil-A with the...
That was approved, right?
That was good?
Correct, it was approved as presented.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I have a question regarding this zoning overlay application. My understanding is that in order for its approval, the property owner would need to, the property would need to be included in the JED for, with the city of Worthington. Mm-hmm. At what point in the process can we anticipate that being approved by the property owner?
Yeah, typically we try to get that locked down, whether it's just an MOU prior to the trustee decision.
Have we had the conversation with them about that?
I would have to ask Robin, but typically when anyone brings up an overlay application, we give them a heads up. Okay. So I think they are aware. I'm just not sure if it's the property owner or if it's just the architect that needs to tell the property owner. We can figure that out.
Yeah,
though.
just to make sure that they're...
But we try to lock that in prior to the trustee decision.
Yeah. Is that in the information when they apply? Mm-hmm. Is it, so they should be aware of it, right?
If they read. Yes.
It's up to them now.
Yes, but it is, it's in the text, yep.
Okay, great. Anything else zoning wise? Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Anything operations? Nothing. Fire?
Just a reminder that fire department, we're collecting the toys for people in need of Delaware. So anyone can bring toys any time of day, drop it off at 361 in the front vestibule up there where the near the flagpole, there's the entryway that you can access. Drop off in there. If people have large vehicle full of toys, just contact the fire department prior and we'll get the trailer opened up so they can just meet us outside. We'll help put it in, move it from the vehicle to the trailer. So that goes on until Friday, approximately 1 o'clock. Right after that, we plan on taking it to the people in need, to drop it off there.
We also
this
have a
Friday.
box here at Township.
And there's box here, okay.
That's like a new unwrapped toy.
Yes, it's got to be unwrapped toy. It could be, some of your canned goods and stuff like that. So
So canned goods or toys. And is there a particular age group that they're in need of?
not really. We've been getting everything from
any-
all ages. So yep.
And thank you to the community. I know a number of people were bringing gifts to the holiday event too, so we had a nice collection that night as well. Okay, anything else, Fire? Fiscal, Ms. Kraft?
Okay, just a couple things. Our November financial review, fund balance, in general is 8.8 million. $8,837,294. Roads, $3,254,419. Fire at $6,362,971. Parks at $4,020,766, and our other funds combined are $5,799,181. Our year-to-date revenue has been, through November 30th, is $19,659,178, and our year-to-date expenses, $18,127,039. Couple things to note, we have a 1.1 million, after this was balanced, so after November 30th, we just cut a check for $1.1 million for road paving, and that's versus the $750,000 that our levy funds bring in for road paving. So we are doing above the levy amount by using some of the other funds like gas tax and permissive motor vehicle tax, those kind of things. I have a $1.4 million Bill Kenyon check I'll be writing in the next couple weeks. We have end of year longevity and cash outs. That'll be about $250,000. And then there's another big check, probably for about $1 million, that I'll be writing in addition to normal expenses. So you're going to see a big bump up in your year-to-date expenses. I would guess that number is going to be in the year close to 23 million, maybe 24 million.
Okay.
But probably closer to 23 million.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, next. After approving the budget last meeting, we now have the blankets and purchase orders in front of you. As a reminder, anything, even if it's on a blanket, except for salary and fringe benefits, anything more than $10,000 still will have to come to the board. Even though there's a blanket in place, it still needs board approval for anything over $10,000. So just because you see a blanket of $15,000 doesn't mean they can write that in one check and not get it approved by the board. Okay? So nothing out of the ordinary, kind of standard blanket amounts and standard POs with the utilities and some of our parks and roads maintenance vendors, that kind of thing. Okay? And that's all I got.
Any fiscal?
Oh, and then one other thing. And Mrs. Faust mentioned that yesterday was the first Delaware County Economic Summit, and I know Eric and I were there, so just gave different viewpoints on all the growth happening in Delaware County due to Intel. Intel is coming, if you haven't heard. That's all I got.
It will affect us. And Lieutenant Governor Husted spoke, so that was helpful to hear his perspective from a statewide standpoint on things. So, yeah. Make a motion to approve Resolution 23-302, approval of 2024 blanket certificate and purchase orders.
Second?
Mr. Ringel?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes. Okay. Our administration report, Ms. Vine?
All right, a few things. So the first item is to announce our 2024 township events. We had a lot of firsts this year that were very successful, and so we want to continue those on. So this is just a consensus item. In front of, we have this handout that we plan on promoting as far as our events. So what our thoughts are is that we would maintain we're calling them our signature events. And those are the 4 big ones, which is the Business Appreciation Breakfast, our Independence Day Parade, our Founders Festival, and our holiday event. But we also included events that we had a really successful shredding event, so we'd like to do that on an annual basis. I would say our special event for next year would be our Veterans Memorial Ceremony. So we would plan to have that on Memorial Day, as that is planned to be open and ready by then. And then we also included our light events. I think the new one this year is the Fright Fight, so that would be a Halloween themed one. And then we would continue our holiday light flight. And we do blood drives, yeah, so just getting consensus from the board. The dates are on there, so that is, assuming the board approves this today, that is what we will plan on having our events for next year.
Would you mind scrolling down a little bit to see what the asterisk says? Oh, I guess, is that just tentative at the top of the flyer? There's list of events 2024.
Oh, probably just because we haven't approved it yet.
Yeah, I will clean that.
What it was too.
Yes.
All of it subject to change.
This helps us from a planning side too, so having these days locked down, I mean, it was, having, for instance, the 4th of July parade, we were kind of going back and forth on the date, and so we wanted it on the actual holiday this year. We assumed that the board wanted it to keep it the same for next year. Now, as far as the ins and outs of these, well, you can get into those conversations more, of course, later on in the year, but wanted to at least lock these down.
Are we giving out any prizes for like the light fights or that, like any full pass prizes?
Is it pool passes? Yes, yeah, we got the approval to do that.
So it's the daily passes things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that, speaking specifically on that, so signups are good through the end of today. If you have not, if your house is decorated and you want to participate, you can sign up through the end of today. And then the maps will be out, I believe, Friday, so that we can, as a community, start driving around and adding it to our Christmas holiday festivities. So yeah. Okay.
So that's just a consensus item, if the board's okay with that.
I am.
I am fine with that. Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. The next 2 items under administrative report is regarding sick leave and years of service for Jeffrey Chavalia. There was an error when I guess filing his hours, so we have to amend the previous resolutions to reflect the accurate amount for sick leave and also his years of service for purposes of vacation accrual.
Is there a resolution to rescind or is that buried in here?
So the title is Resolution to Amend.
There it goes, I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm. I didn't want to have double, so.
Perfect.
Following that, I do have legal services. The resolution in front of you is to enter into an engagement with Freeman Mathis and Gary. They are our attorneys that we use for our insurance providers, and sometimes there is a need to continue working on them outside of the insurance, so that's just having that in place in front of you. Our attorney is Paul Lafayette for that, if you were questioning the firm. Following that, is the handbook. So the handbook, we've been doing this on an annual basis. Last year, we completely rewrote it. And we completely rewrote the handbook with our handbook committee, which involves a member of each of the departments. So we've continued that. This is our 2nd round of revisions, and I think this is always going to be a live working document. So we met with the handbook committee about 5 or 6 times over the last few months to get their input, and there are a few revisions that we shared with you all, and that is ready for adoption today. That would be effective January 1. So
I was able to sit down with Michelle and Mike, and that was helpful, so thank you.
And then the last two items is to reschedule the next regular trustee meeting on December 20th. It was my understanding the request, or we wanted to consider, since it's at a 3 o'clock p.m. schedule, this should be a light meeting, to move it up earlier that day.
And it should probably just be Lisa and I.
It will most likely be.
Yes,
Will
I will
be
most likely.
on daddy duty.
Yes. Yes.
As Mrs. Ringel will have a baby at the latest the day before that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
What time were you thinking?
I'm open to it.
What time is it?
Kids are not in school.
Well,
Do we? I don't know.
No, we're open. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Just because my kids are home from school.
Oh, that's fine. Okay.
Yeah. Right, and then let them.
It should be a light meeting. It should be organized. That's any,
Not.
whatever you two want, we'll make it. And yeah, can you make it?
Oh, yeah, I can.
Okay.
Well, you'll probably,
I probably
And
will.
he will not be there.
but if you were, would that
I could
work?
make 10.
Okay, just checking.
If you were there.
Not at Riverside Hospital.
Snuggle your baby.
And then the last resolution we have is, I'm just adding it, so I emailed Ms. Kraft it, but this is to discuss the wage increase for non-union employees. I'm sorry, I didn't make an additional copy, but this is part of our budget. We did approve a 3% increase for all non-union employees, and this is the resolution in front of you to have that effective in January 1.
This point, the quarter, it looks like it's at January.
Oh, is that because of the pay period?
I believe so. I believe it's the first payment.
So,
You may
yeah, I
say
would,
effective January 1. That's
Yeah.
Jan 11.
yeah, because the rates should be effective.
Yeah, no, that might be an error. January 11th is Thursday.
I wasn't prepared for this.
Okay.
meeting, so
We'll just make it say January.
1st.
Next pay period would end 10th. That's why they would be.
Oh, okay.
It's a start.
Oh, so you're-
Start of a full pay period.
Okay,
So,
so starting at a full pay period. So you're
January 11th.
you're good. I was wrong.
27th to the 9th is the last pay period. And then,
did we do it like that last year? We always do that, right? Okay, so at least to get, okay.
it should actually be the 10th then,
So you want the 10th?
So,
because the pay period ends on,
It's on a Wednesday. Tuesday.
Ends on a Tuesday. We do payroll on Wednesday, but the pay period starts Wednesday.
starts on Wednesday. Should be Wednesday, yeah, it should be January 10th.
so effective January 10th?
Got it. I shall read.
Okay, so those are all the resolutions I have.
Okay.
Month of January, apparently, so.
All right. Any other administrative questions?
I do not have any.
I do not.
Okay. And make a motion to approve Resolution 23-303 to amend Resolution 22-327, accepting transfer of 360 hours of sick leave to the credit of firefighter paramedic Jeffrey Chevalier.
Second?
Mr. Ringel?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes. And make a motion to approve Resolution 23-304 to amend Resolution 22-329, recognizing prior full-time Ohio Township service of Jeffrey Chevalier for the purpose of vacation accrual calculation.
Second?
Mr. Ringel?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp? Mrs. Faust?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 23-305, employing Township's attorneys on an annual basis for the year 2024, Freeman Mathis and Gary LLP.
Second?
Mr. Ringel?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes. I make a motion to approve Resolution 23-306, authorizing the adoption of the Orange Township amended handbook.
Second?
Mr. Ringel?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes. I make a motion to approve Resolution 23-307, reschedule regular scheduled trustee meeting of December 20th, 2023 to December 20th, 2023 at 10 a.m.
Second?
Mr. Ringel?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes. I make a motion to approve Resolution 23-308, approval of the 2024 wage rate increase.
Second?
Mr. Ringel?
Yes?
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes, I make a motion to approve Resolution 23-309, meeting adjourned.
Second?
Mr. Ringel?
Yes?
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes, meeting adjourned.